I shouldn't have done it. I knew it was wrong from the moment it started. But when you find yourself tangled in a web of desire, guilt, and secrets, there's no turning back. My name is Emma, and I have a confession to make. I had an affair with a football player. No, not just any football player. The football player. The one whose name is whispered in locker rooms, screamed by fans in stadiums, and printed on billboards across the city. A man everyone wants, but no one really knows. It began innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself. My husband, Liam, is a good man. Dependable, kind, and safe. But safe doesn't always mean happy. The first time I met Jackson, yes, that Jackson, was at a charity gala. Liam and I had been invited because of his work at a big advertising firm. I remember the buzz in the air when Jackson walked into the room. The way everyone turned to look at him, like he was some kind of Greek god who'd descended into our dull, ordinary world. And then he looked at me. His eyes didn't just look at me. They pierced me. It felt like he could see straight through my perfect dress, my perfect smile, and my perfectly boring life. I wasn't supposed to talk to him. I was just another face in the crowd. But later that night, as I stood alone on the balcony, sipping a glass of champagne and staring at the city lights, he found me. Beautiful night, isn't it? His voice was smooth, low, like a secret he wasn't supposed to share. I froze. He was standing so close I could feel the heat radiating from him. "It is," I managed to whisper, trying not to tremble. We talked about everything and nothing. He was charming, magnetic, and when he laughed, I felt it in places I shouldn't have. His attention was intoxicating, and for a moment, I forgot I had a husband waiting inside. But then he touched my arm, just lightly, just enough to send a shiver down my spine, and said, "I hope I see you again." I didn't think I would. He was a superstar, and I was just a woman with a decent life and an aching void I couldn't name. But fate, or maybe temptation, had other plans. A week later, I got an email. It wasn't from him directly, of course. It was from one of his people, inviting me to a private event he was hosting. "Jackson specifically requested your presence," it said. My heart raced as I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I should have said no. I wanted to say no, but I didn't. That night, I lied to Liam, told him I had a work meeting that ran late. My stomach churned as I slipped into a sleek black dress that hugged my curves in all the right places. I told myself it was just a party. Nothing would happen. Jackson was waiting for me when I arrived. He looked even more devastatingly handsome than I remembered, and when he smiled, it felt like the ground shifted beneath me. He didn't waste time with small talk. "I've been thinking about you," he said, his voice like velvet. "I haven't been able to get you out of my head." My breath hitched. I should have laughed it off, made an excuse, run. But I didn't. Instead, I let him take my hand and lead me to a quiet corner. "I'm married," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I know," he said, his eyes locking onto mine. "But tell me you don't feel this." I couldn't. That night changed everything. It wasn't just the way he kissed me, slow, deliberate, like he had all the time in the world, or the way his hands explored me, igniting fires I hadn't felt in years. It was the way he made me feel alive, seen, desired. And then it became an addiction. I'd sneak away whenever I could, making excuses to Liam, lying to my friends. Jackson and I would meet in hotel rooms, secluded villas, even his penthouse overlooking the city. Every moment with him was electric, filled with passion and danger. But with every high came the crushing weight of guilt. I'd lie awake at night, watching Liam sleep, wondering how I could betray him like this. He didn't deserve it. He loved me. He trusted me. And yet, I couldn't stop. Jackson wasn't just a lover. He was an escape. From my mundane life, from the expectations weighing me down. With him, I could be someone else. Someone reckless, daring, free. But secrets like ours don't stay hidden forever. One night, as I was getting dressed after another stolen evening with Jackson, he grabbed my wrist. "You're not just a fling to me, Emma," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I want more." More? The word echoed in my mind, equal parts thrilling and terrifying. "Leave him," Jackson said. "Be with me." I didn't answer. How could I? Leaving Liam would destroy him. But staying with Jackson? It felt like drowning in a sea of desire I didn't want to escape. The decision was made for me 2 weeks later when I found a note in my car. "I know what you're doing. End it now, or I will." Panic set in. Who knew? Was it Liam? A reporter? Someone close to Jackson? I tried to end things. I met Jackson one last time and told him we had to stop. His jaw clenched, and for the first time, I saw something dangerous in his eyes. "You think it's that simple?" he said. "You're mine, Emma, and I don't let go of what's mine." I was trapped between a man who loved me and a man who consumed me. Every day I waited for the truth to come crashing down, for my life to implode. And then it did. It was a quiet Saturday morning when it happened. Liam and I were having breakfast in the kitchen. I could feel the weight of my lies in every glance he gave me. But I kept my head down, stirring my coffee as if nothing was wrong. Then he slid his phone across the table. "Do you want to explain this?" My heart stopped. On the screen was a photo of Jackson and me, unmistakably intimate, leaving a hotel together. I tried to speak, but no words came out. "How long has this been going on?" His voice was steady, but his hands trembled as he reached for his mug. "Don't lie to me, Emma. I deserve the truth." The truth? What even was the truth anymore? That I loved him but wasn't in love with him? That Jackson made me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years? None of it would justify what I'd done. "I'm so sorry, Liam," I whispered. Tears welled up in my eyes as I searched for something, anything, to say that could undo the damage. But there was nothing. "You're sorry?" He laughed bitterly, shaking his head. "You're sorry that you got caught, or sorry for destroying our marriage?" His words cut deeper than I expected. "I never meant to hurt you," I said, choking on the lump in my throat. "Hurting me was inevitable the moment you chose him." His eyes, once so full of love, were now cold and distant. "Who else knows?" The question sent a jolt of fear through me. If he had the photo, how many others did? Was it already out there, circling the media? Jackson's career, my life, Liam's reputation, everything was hanging by a thread. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Liam stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "I need time to think," he said, grabbing his keys. "Don't be here when I get back." As the door slammed behind him, I crumbled, but I couldn't fall apart. Not yet. I had to call Jackson. He answered on the second ring, his voice calm but laced with something I couldn't place. "I've been waiting for your call," he said. "You knew?" I asked, my voice shaking. "You knew someone was following us?" "Of course I knew," he said, almost smug. "Do you think I don't protect what's mine?" "Protect?" My voice rose. "Jackson, my life is falling apart, and you're talking about protecting me?" "I told you, Emma, you're mine. Liam finding out doesn't change that." His possessiveness, once thrilling, now felt suffocating. "I can't do this anymore," I said, my voice cracking. "We have to stop. It's over." There was silence on the line, but I could hear his breathing. "No, it's not," he said finally. You don't get to walk away from me, Emma. Not now, not ever. His words sent a chill down my spine. I hung up and sat there, trembling, trying to process everything. But the nightmare wasn't over. That evening, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a video, me and Jackson in a hotel room, kissing passionately. My stomach dropped. Underneath, the message read, "End this, or everyone sees it." I couldn't breathe. The walls seemed to close in around me. Who was doing this? Someone from the media? A jealous ex of Jackson's? Or Liam? I didn't have time to think. I went to Jackson's penthouse, desperate for answers. When he opened the door, I shoved my phone in his face. "Did you know about this?" He looked at the screen and smirked. "Let them. What's the worst that could happen? The world finds out you're with me? You'll be fine, Emma. You're stronger than this." "I'm stronger than this?" I yelled, my frustration boiling over. "Jackson, my marriage is over. My life is in shambles, and now someone is blackmailing me." He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "You think I'll let anyone hurt you? I'll handle this." But his words didn't reassure me. They terrified me. That night I went home to pack my things. I couldn't stay with Liam, and I couldn't go back to Jackson. I needed space, clarity. But as I zipped my suitcase, the front door burst open. It was Jackson. "What are you doing?" he demanded, his eyes blazing with fury. "I'm leaving," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I can't do this anymore." "You're not leaving me," he said, stepping closer. "Not after everything we've been through." "Jackson, this isn't love. This is madness." He grabbed my wrist, his grip firm but not painful. "You don't get it, do you? You're the only thing that keeps me sane, Emma. I can't lose you." Tears streamed down my face as I pulled away. "You already have." Before he could respond, the sound of tires screeching outside caught our attention. Liam stormed in, his face red with anger. "What the hell are you doing here?" he shouted at Jackson. "I could ask you the same thing," Jackson shot back, stepping toward him. The tension was explosive, the air crackling with the weight of their animosity. "She's my wife," Liam said, his voice breaking. "You've taken everything from me." "She's not yours anymore," Jackson replied, his voice icy. "Stop it!" I screamed, stepping between them. "Both of you, just stop." But they didn't. Liam lunged at Jackson, fists flying, and the two men crashed into the coffee table, shattering it into pieces. I screamed for them to stop, but they were too consumed by their anger. In the chaos, Jackson grabbed Liam by the collar and hissed, "You think she's going to stay with you after this? You're nothing compared to me." "That's enough!" I yelled, pulling them apart with all the strength I had. "This isn't about either of you. This is about me." They froze, both of them breathing heavily, their eyes locked on mine. "I can't do this anymore," I said, my voice trembling. "Neither of you is what I need." I walked out that night, leaving both of them behind. I disappeared, cutting ties with everything and everyone. For weeks, I stayed in a small town far from the city, trying to piece myself back together. It wasn't easy. The tabloids ran wild with stories, speculating about the affair, the fight, the fallout. But for the first time in years, I felt free. Do I regret it? Sometimes. Loving Jackson was like standing too close to the sun, exhilarating but ultimately destructive. And Liam, he deserved better. Now, I'm learning to live with my choices, to find peace in the chaos I created. Because sometimes the only way to move forward is to burn it all down and start again.